Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Talking Point, Sean Michael Small here, and this is the second anniversary of WESN. 2 years we've been on the air. 2 years we have tried to bring the very best local produced content to your television screens as well as to your mobile devices. 2 years, and while we have not necessarily a talking point for those entire 2 years, we have, as a network, as a station, been trying to champion the causes, the issues that plague our society, as well as to try to have constructive discussions on those same issues. Constructive, not necessarily to bash. When we do have negative comments or criticisms, hopefully we always try to point out where we think it could be better or how we think it could be better. This is WESN, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, Sean Michael Small here. My co-host, I am expecting to join me very soon. Also, we hopefully will have our usual Wednesday contributor, Karen Nurse-Shera, former Minister of Finance, as well as former Youth Parliamentarian Camille Pascal, our usual Tuesday contributor. But he will be here to join us for the second anniversary, as well as, of course, to speak on that one big issue that happened this week. Last Monday gone, just 2 days ago, we got the budget, somewhat of an early budget, somewhat of a contentious budget, controversial budget. It depends on who you speak to. Some people are okay with it, some people dislike it. And we're going to have to continue to unpack it. So now I see on the screens, we have our two talking point contributors. Of course, Camille, please excuse me, ladies first. Good morning, Karen. How are you this morning?
Good morning to you, Sean. Good morning to you, Camuel, and of course to your listeners. And I think that you said Keaton will be joining us shortly. You all like to say at the end of a show, it's a good day to have a good day. So I'm going to try and take that same approach to the budget. We've had some discussions on it already, although it was a bit, it's just right after the 4 hours and 5 minutes, which our interviewer, so to speak, the host, mentioned a few times, and he was right. So I don't know what you want to throw at me in terms of my overall take on the budget, or is there anything in particular that you wanted me to address?
Well, I'll be interested to hear both of your overall takes. But of course, let me just welcome our youth parliamentarian to give us that different perspective, not necessarily seeing things behind the real annals of power, but he has seen things from the up-and-coming youths who hopefully would be our future parliamentarians, although, like himself, some of them might be reluctant given all the bacchanal and bubble our politics has. Camille, good morning. Second anniversary, you have been here now with us for most of the last year. It is great to have you with us today. I don't know, just how has it been?
Good morning, Sean. Good morning to Keaton, who will soon join us, and good morning to all of viewers and listeners. Good morning to fellow commentator this morning, Mrs. Karen Nurse-Shera. And it is my pleasure to be here this morning. And yes, I have been with you all since about December 2021. So it's been an enjoyable experience thus far, being able to contribute and share my feedback on issues of national importance, and certainly carry the conversation in a particular way that would give the people of Trinidad and Tobago facts and not just opinions.
Right. Well, okay, so what we're going to do, folks, we're going to take a break right now. When we return, we will complete the set, and the 4 horsemen of the budget will have that discussion. Stay tuned. Sean Michael Small, Karen Nurse-Shera, Camille Pascal, soon to be joined by Mr. Keaton Shaw. This is Talking Point on WESN, your content capital. 2 years old today. We'll be right back.
Flying Delivered nationwide. Kiss Enriched Bread.
Fill your day with love.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered,
the conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order or visit us in-store at Forces flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
Welcome back to Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen. And as promised, he promised to be on time, and to some extent he was. Wink, wink. But we have here with me my co-host and partner in crime in this little endeavor. Also, he has been a member of WSN even before me, and a fixture of our morning programming from almost the very beginning, I think by the second week of the station's airing.
Yes, actually. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Kemuel. Good morning, Keaton. And good morning, Sean.
I was here even before Talking Point.
Yes, you
were. That is true.
Yes, you were. But before we unwind all this talk, Karen, let us I just want to say yes to all the viewers who've had to put up with me in the mornings for the last 2 years. Well done, you made it this far. Congratulations, that's an achievement indeed. And yes, I was on time. I was here. Talking Point started at 8 o'clock, and I promise you I was here for the starts of Talking Point. Not in this chair, but I was here at WSN.
Yeah, he made it to the studio, folks. But let's not worry about that now. Before we get into all of these celebrations and all of the happiness and the reminiscing, we do have the white elephant in the room, and that is timing-wise.
Sean, you're being a little too hard on yourself.
I'm being a little too hard on myself. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the budget.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. Sorry, okay, good.
Oh my gosh, it's been 2 years, and oh my word, folks. You see what I have to deal with. Anyway, let's not worry about that. Karen, I was not able to speak with you since we had the budget presentation, and of course, I could only imagine what you were going through trying to sit down for those 4 hours. We were sitting down here in the office watching all 4 hours of that budget. So long, I can't even remember everything that was said. It was so much rambling. But for our viewers, and even for myself, to start the discussion with you, what was your initial reaction? And even now, after 2 days, how do you feel just overall about this budget?
I think the first statement you made is a feeling, a view that nearly everyone I have spoken to is that, was that necessary? It's 4 hours and 5 minutes according to the timing that was given, and I don't disbelieve it. And it was quite unnecessary because there was a lot of unnecessary repetition And it seemed, as when you read reports, and that was my initial response to. I said, isn't this thing a bit of scattershot? Isn't it a bit just a bit of disorganization here? I mean, almost a little bit of cut and paste, because there was not that level of, and if there had been, perhaps it would have been cut by half. So that's generally in terms of its presentation. I thought that the government tried to rely on the COVID-19 way too much and give it too much, giving it the cause of its poor performance over the years, when we very well knew that COVID-19 was around in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And certainly since 2021, unlike other Caribbean islands and other countries, we have had the blessing of having energy and our energy prices going through the roof, especially LNG and natural gas. So that we have been very blessed to be able to have that quick turnaround in terms of revenue take, which other countries have been seeing, but not at the pace at which we supposedly should. So I would say generally we know that the revenue was put at $56.17 billion. My one concern with that, and it's a concern that's been expressed every single year, is the minister getting the numbers wrong. Because when we look at gas, that is mainly gas, because oil, we really looking at only at the exploration and production side of actually producing the crude oil. It's really been sticking at 58,000, 60,000 a day, and that's certainly not going to get you very far in terms of your revenue. So he has to be relying on the natural gas and LNG and the downstream industry, which uses the natural gas as a feedstock. And there's no question ammonia, urea, methanol is doing extraordinarily well. But I think if I were to talk about the oil prices, I know he tried at length to justify his price for oil, because I felt he felt that he was under attack in a way for coming up with that number. And he did something which I thought was very poor judgment on his part, and certainly not consistent with what you would expect a minister, regardless of his feelings. When he was said, oh, you've gotten the numbers wrong for 6-7 years, then he turns and throws, as far as I'm concerned, the former minister, deceased now, under the bus by saying, well, we relied on their numbers, but now he thinks he'll get it right. Well, what is that supposed to mean? But if he's saying they're going to get it right, that's the same Minister of Energy that went on CNN and said we had Train 1, when he knew that Train 1 was closed for a year, and the Prime Minister finally had to admit that. That's the numbers he's going to be relying on. But coming back to the number of $92, which he's using as to use as the budget number, I don't think, looking at what's going on in the international market with oil and the build-up inventory and etc., that I think that these put it too high. And in any event, from my experience, you tend to take a very conservative approach to the numbers, because the mid-year review gives you the wiggle room to make adjustments and increase allocations to ministries. And I did think that his $92, regardless of what he has said, is too high, but time will tell. It does not seem to be holding to be correct. I think the $6 on the natural gas is not an unfair number, but at the end of the day, it's not just price, it's production. And we know, and many persons I'm sure who have been on your show have pointed this out, and Kevin Ramnarine would have been a very good person to speak to that. We know that since, I believe, 2011, when natural gas was producing at 4.1 billion per MMBTU per day, it has averaged since then at about 2.5, 2.4, and that is still the case. So I don't know, he spent an inordinate amount of time telling us about COVID, as if, please give us a break. The COVID, yes, but, you can't explain the other few years. And then why don't you talk about, despite COVID, look what's happened with our revenue. So he spent an inordinate amount of time on the COVID, and he spent an inordinate amount of time trying to convince us that we are going to see the production by the supplemental petroleum tax easing up, for those who do shallow water bids, for those who do not only onshore bids, but also offshore bids. I don't know if that's enough, because the truth of the matter is that our investors in the energy sector are foreign investors, and their loyalty is to their shareholders. And just as how they were about to pack up, they gave every sign that they were ready to pack up and go their way with renewable energy and all of that. Believe you me, if energy prices come back down because the Ukraine-Russia thing is going to be addressed, and Europe and America are going to make sure that their reliance on natural gas from the pipelines from Russia are reduced, and in Europe in particular, we have to look at the price too. So you have to look at price and production, and none of us has a crystal ball. And because none of us have a crystal ball, I think, is he being realistic about where we're going to be going with energy? But I'll let Cromwell come in and give his point of view.
Just before we come to you, my friend, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but we do have to take a break. But when we come back, the floor is yours, because I know there's a lot that you have to contribute to the conversation, especially from a man who would hear it on the ground from a lot of younger people in Trinidad and Tobago, what they're thinking and what they're feeling. So we'll be right back after this on Talking Point.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website, www.fanzonett.com, for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website, fanzonett.com, to make your purchase today.
On WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy, there will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. only on your content capital, WESN.
WESN. Okay, listen, today is a good day to have a good day. Any day is a good day to have a good day. Though we must have some rather depressing conversations sometimes here on the program. I mean, we're not a depressing program. We hope that's not the case. But these topics are very, very important, and whether or not we like it, as someone contributed to the program on Monday said, listen, we're going to have to live with it anyway. There's nothing we can do to change it. And at the end of it, everything has gone up except salaries. Camille Pascal, the young people of Trinidad and Tobago, are they hopeful after this budget was presented by the Minister of Finance? Are they feeling that continued sense of loss?
Okay, no, they are not. I think what the Minister of Finance and the government needs to understand is that while they can come and they can read a speech, successive government, they can come and read a lengthy speech of some 4 hours and 5 minutes or 3.5 hours or whatever it is, that's not necessarily what young people of Trinidad and Tobago or the people of Trinidad and Tobago actually want to hear. They actually want to hear what are those finite things within the budget that would affect them. So let's look at the things like the price of gas, things of gates, the education sector, safety.
Oh, Camille, all right, it seems as though we've just lost Camille.
He's coming back.
Actually, we've found Camille. Welcome back, Camille. Go ahead, continue.
Just after you mentioned gates, we had a dip in connectivity. So if you could continue from there.
Sure. So yes, people want to hear about gates. Not that they don't necessarily want to hear about supplemental petrol tax or what's your medium-term policy framework. Yes, they want to hear about all those things, but really and truly, the man on the ground wants to hear about the things which are going to affect them, which is that the fact that the price of gas has been raised. The fuel subsidy has now been capped at $1 billion, which I mean we heard a couple of months ago. And so that's really take that I get from people on the ground with the budget. And while the Minister of Finance can come and speak about transportation and what they intend to do and all of that, they want to hear about how you are aiming to transform how you're aiming to transform PTSD, how you're aiming to transform public transportation as a whole. Because the Prime Minister can come and stand up and say after the budget that Trinidad and Tobago is an indisciplined society and that's why they would not go forward with a work from home policy, when the Minister of Labour can come to the Parliament and presented a couple of months ago. So what is it? There's an inconsistency in the policy of the government and the way in which you want to go forward. You are telling us about the fact that we should carpool, but then you are also not looking at things by way of public transportation. You're telling us that we should look at the way in which we utilize gas, but on your side, which is that you can control the public transportation, you have done nothing really for people of Trinidad and Tobago. And so that's the things that people want to hear. They don't necessarily want to hear about all these different things, while they understand that it does, in fact, have an effect and an effect on them. And I think that's where people stand in Trinidad, people, where the budget is concerned, and not just this particular budget, but annually successive and continuous budgets.
Well, Sean, just based on what Camille said, it seems as though the Minister of Finance gave a lecture rather than a presentation, because that preamble, which was just over 3 hours, which we expected, by the way.
More than 3 hours.
We expected, by the way, let's just say, because we predicted that on the program on Monday.
And some of the allocations were sprinkled into the preamble, which in some ways is even worse.
Which was rather confusing.
It's lost in the shuffle.
It was very confusing, but a couple of things that Camille raised, which actually has been on the lips of Trinidadians over the last couple of days. One, the issue of transportation now across Trinidad and Tobago. Because the PTSE has purchased new buses, that doesn't equal the efficiency of service, and it doesn't mean that we're going to have better service. Purchasing newer buses just replaces the old fleet. It doesn't actually fix the issues surrounding the PTSE. That is, on one hand, something that you can deal with. Two, we heard it yesterday, all public vehicles, all government vehicles should be converted to CNG, although the Automobile Dealers Association of Trinidad and Tobago has argued against CNG. At this point in time, if we're trying to push for a greener economy and a renewable energy, bear in mind CNG is a cleaner form of fuel that you can use. And across Trinidad and Tobago, many people are converting their vehicles. They're spending what is being advertised as about $16,000 to change your vehicle to CNG. They're willing to do that, even though it's costing them quite a bit of money, because when they go to the pump, they don't feel it. They're able to regain that $16,000. So all of these things you have to bear in mind. I agree with you, Camille, from the work of home policy. Just remember that because of the COVID-19 lockdowns implemented by the government, and we're saying that it was necessary at the time, work from home policy was absolutely necessary. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, was it back in 2015 or 2020? I think a work from home policy are one of the things that the People's National Movement campaigned on. So for the Prime Minister to come and say that it is now, we are in an indisciplined society, I'm not saying he's totally wrong in making that statement. I am saying that it totally contradicts what they were preaching previously. So to me, what we hear from the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister is convenience.
Let me end, Coach. So I will say this. Circumstances change. So just like when economists were saying this is what the government should do, this is what the government should do, when the Minister of Finance says, we did not listen to their advice and it's a good thing too. Well, because you were lucky that a dictator decided to go to start a war of conquest, causing a global increase in the price of energy, which we're benefiting from. It's an unintended consequence to a very tragic situation happening right now. So that's one thing, right? But I think with this budget, there are two issues. First of all, we have to realize that a lot of people, not necessarily like economists, but like when the business chambers speak about it, when the man on the street speaks about it, as Camille was in a way alluding to, everybody is looking at it in the silos of their bias, what matters to them, right? Not everybody is necessarily going to look at the big picture. The flip side to that is the big picture is so disjointed by what the Minister of Finance presented. It's hard to figure out just what it is, right? Because he has a theme. He said that the budget is designed to build on our resilience and facilitate a broad-based revival of the economy. His budget theme, therefore, is tenacity and stability in the face of global challenges. Now, I get that he's trying to keep things stable, but I'm not really seeing any sort of facilitating a broad-based revival. It seems to me that, you know, well, okay, this we should do a little bit here and we should do a little bit there. And they're kind of just doing it, not by random, but there's no wider plan, as Kemi was alluding to, with transport. You know, like, okay, price of fuel. But yes, what about money to maintain the road networks? Do we do like Jamaica enough tolls? Do we try to improve PTSC? Do we try to improve our taxi situation? Do we try to expand our road networks in some ways, east-west corridor, north-south? You know, it's not going to be easy, but again, we are living off of the developmental investments of our forefathers, for lack of a better way to put it, right? They spend the money then. We have these highways and whatever now. We've had, what, one major flyover since, in my lifetime, constructed, and it's not even an entire flyover. It's like half a flyover. It's a quarter of a flyover. It just goes in one direction, really, right? Where's the investment now into the country for growth? Because the population is growing.
HEC.
Right?
That was according to the Minister of Finance, HEC.
Yeah, but that project, just to add more houses, the problem is we have too many houses concentrated in all the same areas and we don't have a lot of infrastructure to support it. We're spending the short term. People want houses. Cool. Nice. Do we have enough water for these houses? Do we have the power generation for these houses? Do we have the road networks and transportation infrastructure for these houses? I think that is, does this budget answer those questions?
Which is why I have stated multiple times before, it may not make sense to some people, but all I've heard from the government and from the Minister of Finance is essentially sustaining a declining economy. Because if it wasn't for the non-energy sector, which the Minister of Finance needs to realize, the non-energy sector is really what saved Trinidad and Tobago in the last few years.
Before the price of oil went up.
Yes, we acknowledge that because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, the price of oil went up. But it's really because of the non-energy sector that we've gotten closer to that gap, closing that gap of the budget deficit. Overall, I still didn't see anything from this government or from this Minister of Finance to address the situation of the private sector. The government wants to have too much involvement in the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, and to that extent they're stifling the economy, they're not helping the private sector, they're not inspiring consumer investment, And overall, this is not going to change anytime soon.
No, some of the business chambers like it, huh?
Quite frankly,
some of the business chambers said they like it.
But
so.
I don't know if anybody followed the TTMA post-budget analysis yesterday after Lockjack spoke as well, and he made some good points. Overall, I'm simply stating that this government has always, and anybody could argue with me on this government has always written a budget that benefits some in Trinidad and Tobago.
They don't want to rock the boat.
That benefits few in Trinidad and Tobago. Camille, I see you.
Yeah, which is why I made the point even on Monday evening in our post-budget discussion on WESN, that it's a matter of the government has just been keeping the economy afloat.
Yes.
But we have not seen any form of transformation. I don't know if any one of you can recall, or any of the viewers can recall, remember the big investment that they had planned in Point Lisas. I think if I'm not mistaken, with the Chinese government, and they had a delegation coming down to Trinidad, and they went to, then you had the Panamax facility that's supposed to be somewhere on the southern peninsula that we've heard nothing from them about. I recall things from as far back as 2015 where the Minister of Finance said they're going to create a facility where once the price of gas dips or goes up to a certain amount, that government spending would be capped at a certain. We've heard nothing about those things over the years. And that's why I can afford to say, and I can stand confidently in saying, that the government has just kept the economy afloat, but there has been no form or no direction of transforming the economy. In no way, no form of progress.
Well, Karen, you've been quiet for the whole segment. I want to hear your response to what we've been saying. Is there, as the person with actual experience in that hot seat, is there any validity with what we're saying?
Well, I first want to say, in all fairness to the minister, some of the good things that he may have done, and then I will then pivot, as they say, to what Keaton was saying about the private sector involvement and its importance to Trinidad and Tobago. So let me just start with the things that I thought were positive. In terms of access to GATE for a far wider group of persons who had diplomas or had an associated degree, even a lower level, would be allowed to pursue GATE. I think that was a positive thing. For VAT registration for businesses, to move it from 500 to 600,000. I thought that was a positive move. The increase of $500 in personal income, not at all, because I don't know that anybody thinks that anything would come out of that. But our Standard & Poor's ratings still just one step above, one grade above junk bond status. What has changed is from a negative to a stable outlook, but we are at the 3 Bs of S&P, which means you drop one more and you're going into junk bond status in terms of your bond rating, and that means foreign investment in your country. They are going to look at S&P and Moody's and Fitch to determine whether Trinidad is a good risk. With regard to the Lake Asphalt situation, I mean, it's absolutely hilarious that you close down the Warakara refinery, which produced mostly bitumen that they mix with the Lake Asphalt. And now you're saying you're setting up a $100 million company to fix your roads, the roads that you destroyed, the roads that you're allowed to get destroyed, and suddenly you're acting as though you come up to fix something that you created and that you should be congratulated, which is the ultimate in irony. With regard to other things, just at what, just a point to what Keaton was saying about the private sector. You look at, for example, what is happening in the United Kingdom with the change of the Liz Truss and a new chancellor, and you look at what he has been doing to treat with the economy, and that is the kind of response, a multi-pronged response. He recognizes that the inflation is 10% and it's being driven by energy and the cost of food. So what is his approach to? It's a multi-pronged approach. One of them is increased growth, because if you can increase growth in your economy, it will temper the impact of inflation. And one of the ways he was going about increasing growth is the ease of doing business, reducing the number of steps necessary to begin a business. And that is what Jamaica did, and they did it successfully. And that is one of the things they should do. And in particular, I noticed that the minister focus on small and medium, and he left out the micro. And that's very important, and people understand that micro businesses employ up to 25 people and can gross up to $5 million. So the Chow Kings of this world may not even qualify because the starting point is 6 employees. And I think what the government needs to do, if we are to pull ourselves out of this hole, reduce our dependency on having to use subsidies as a means of a socio-economic panacea. It needs to focus on building the micro enterprises, especially among those persons who fall at the lower end, who are either underemployed, even if they make any minimum wage, they don't get 5 days a week, and they don't get the 8 hours, and they don't get the overtime. And those are the ones most impacted. And why do I say, in particular, the agro industry, as well as cultural tourism, which you don't have time to discuss. But the reason, especially with the agro industry and partnering with CARICOM countries, Barbados has already done that. Ghana has already partnered with them, and we should be doing the same thing. And the reason for that is that we're spending over $5.something billion in importing food. And as the Supermarket Association said, 85% of that food is imported, and a lot of it we don't need to import. I'm not saying we go back to the days of exchange control and the extreme position, and no one is saying that. We live in a globalized environment. But what we do need to do is to encourage our people to produce. And so far, the private sector, I think you have given the private sector local private sector a bit too much credit. Because for one, we know that the private sector in Trinidad only does well when the energy sector does well, because they are, and that is what happens and that's why the Prime Minister always says, is why the non-energy didn't do well, because the VAT returns weren't what he expected. Why the VAT returns not expected? Because the energy, the banks, the restaurants, the businesses that rely on the energy sector are not getting the business. And in fact, what he had said, by the billions, he did not get the VAT refunds that he anticipated. And so insofar as income tax is concerned, not corporate tax, income tax, he got billions less than he anticipated, which says that when you're looking at employment figures, you're really looking at underemployment, because it means that persons earning over 7,000 and now 7,500 would not be paying tax. So your income tax from the persons who were working for living wages has significantly reduced. So that unemployment figure is vastly misleading. And I just want to say, with regard to the private sector, I said it on another show.
We have to take a break.
But I must say it, because what we have to recognize, that this private sector in Trinidad and Tobago is risk averse. They only get into financial and insurance services, and they have a certain profile which they want to serve. And that is why UTT, which is government and highly successful, and introduced financial products, which they were very angry about in the beginning until they joined. Then First Citizen Bank, is because they wouldn't serve them. The Barclays, and now, they wouldn't serve them because they did not fit the profile. In addition to which, they are very risk averse because they take no risk in anything. The LNG would not be with us if we were dependent on our local and private sector. The Police's industrial estate would not be around if it were not the government that was responsible for that. What they do and what they are prepared to do, and I have the figures here, by the way, asphalt declined by 56%, petroleum services by 46.7%.
Karen, I know you're on a roll, but we have to take a break.
Okay, but all right, well then, I will stop right there.
So, I mean, folks, the former Minister of Finance could go on and on this important issue. I didn't mean that in a bad way, Karen. On this important issue, but unfortunately, we have to take a break. When we come back, well, we have more things to talk about. The conversation, as they say, continues on Talking Point. This is WESN. We'll be right back.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion.
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
So, Simone, in these times, things are very difficult. Life has changed dramatically.
Many people have experienced mental health issues for the first time. So people who have just managed to keep anxiety at bay are experiencing a lot of anxiety now.
I am talking with another one of the major pillars of the women's senior national team. Her name is Ria Belgrave. She's actually center defense. Ria is now part again of the CONCACAF preparation for the World Cup 2023. What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Site, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Welcome back to Talking Point. And of course, I know this is just the second day after the budget, such an important thing to speak about. And I must apologize to my compatriot, former Minister of Finance, Ms. Karen Shishero, because what I should have said was she could speak at length on these important issues, an important resource of knowledge and experience. But unfortunately, or fortunately, today is our second anniversary.
What do you mean, unfortunately?
Well, because I would like to continue the conversation on the budget, but we have to acknowledge the second anniversary, such an important day for WESN, the organization, of which we have some who have been here from almost the very beginning, others like myself, Kemiel, and myself who came a little bit later, and our second anniversary. Now we have to acknowledge it and have a little celebration.
Karen, you realize how he tried to make up for it there? Unfortunately, we'll have to pause the conversation of the budget.
It's a good reason.
For a very good reason, because WSN is celebrating 2 years today. And I mean,
and it's an important milestone.
It's very, very important because WSN was the birth out of the COVID-19 pandemic when brilliant minds came together. We of course know Darren Leasing and well, this individual who doesn't like to be seen at all.
At all. We have tried, folks. We have tried to get him recognized, and he doesn't want it at all.
His name is Sir Rodney Garney, of course, for all his efforts. And certainly we've really grown as a family here at the station. So we thought that for the last 10 minutes of the hour, we would pay tribute to WESN and for all it has done. And, you know, very briefly, I'll start with you, Kemiel, seeing that you are probably the, well, I suppose the greenest of us all here when it comes to WESN. Kemiel, you started off Talking Point following the THA elections last year. And it's just been just what, about 9 months that you're with us, and now you're the host of One on One, and you know, we work together all the time. Sean, myself, and you, we share a program on a Tuesday. I mean, certainly you've grown into the station and you've become a part of our family.
Yes, certainly. It has been quite an interesting journey for me, starting off back on December 7th after the THA elections and giving my contribution then. I mean, Sean had been asking me since before that, quite a while Sean had been asking me, but I think it just happened in that particular way. And it flowed quite well in terms of moving into 2022 and becoming a weekly contributor on a Tuesday and being able to share and just speak on issues of national importance and just enjoying the WESN family, because I mean, you all have been family in terms of supporting me, in terms of now hosting One on One, and just the ability to have that opportunity is what I'm grateful for, and I'm happy to be a part of the WESN family, and everyone who has called into the program and given me feedback, especially on a Tuesday morning with you all, and even assisting you with co-hosting duties during the absence of Sean recently. It just has been a great experience thus far.
Well, folks, let me just say that I met Kemuel approximately 2 years ago, and I more or less knew after about a few months that if I was a part of anything like this, that is somebody that I have to rope in because he has what it takes. I identified that immediately. I'm happy that he's here.
We all are very happy that we're here. And we always save the best for last. And we're speaking about Karen Teixeira, who has been a backbone of Talking Points and of WESN. As she mentioned, she was here before Talking Points on a different platform. But Karen has stayed with us. Karen has guided us. And, well, I tell you what, her iconic smile and laughter certainly has grown on all of us. And it's truly a pleasure that she's able to join us every Wednesday. So Karen, thank you very much.
I don't think I have much more to add, except that one of the things that I appreciate about this station, which I don't show that one would get with other stations, is the ability to not be hemmed in by all kinds of other considerations, which would hamper and hem in one's ability to make contributions that are meaningful, hopefully, to the national community. And I thank the founder of WESN for having the foresight to do that. And it has been a pleasure for me to work with you both, although I've been doing it virtually for quite some time. But nevertheless, I do feel the contribution that this station and whatever contribution I make on a Wednesday or whatever day I am on, that it is true, it is really making a difference to Trinidad and Tobago. And I get that from meeting people on the street, and they speak in really glowing terms about yourself and Sean, and I endorse that myself.
Well, I would just like to say, when Talking Points started, it's not as though it was planned. We knew where we would end up about a year and a half later. And I would like to thank Karen, because for the first week, I was kind of like trying to figure it out, you know, pull Keaton, help me out, I need some help here, what are we doing? And then Karen came and said, basically volunteered her services, which to me, I'm very grateful for that, because I didn't know for sure if I would have been able to ask her of my own accord. So thankfully she reached out, she was willing to come in, and one of the people that helped start Talking Point and to help mold it into what it is today. Because back in the early days, there was, you know, we could have gone in a different direction, but the show that we see here today, it is as much due to her contributions as to Keaton and mine, with regards to the content, with regards to the issues, with regards to the conversation, and the importance of what we have to say. And of course, well, she brings the experience. Keaton and I, we just brought the youthful optimism and smart aleckness.
Don't understand yourself. Don't understand yourself, please.
Well, listen, folks, we dug up in the archives, and with the time that we have left, we were able to find some clips, just some bloopers of Sean Michael Small and myself here on Talking Point.
Why
because
don't you let me leave Sean Michael Small?
whilst we would like to celebrate all the shows here on WESN with us this morning due to time, I think the first thing that we're going to take a look at is just Sean and I, we actually have quite some fun off camera, sometimes on camera, as you can see.
I have no idea what this is.
But you know, when you get a little stressed out and when you get overwhelmed and the emotions certainly get you, sometimes all you need to do is sing a little song and just calm yourself down a little bit. You probably saw this before, but this is Singing Point. I wish you a very happy day, and I'm Keaton Shaw, of course, alongside my co-host and colleague, my good friend, Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Keaton. And I guess this is the start of a new trend.
On the ceiling, they pink champagne on ice, and she said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast.
I'll take some nice and rosy and comfy, cozy are we. Cozy are we. We snuggle close together like two bits of a feather would be. Costume was oversized. It was too big for me.
Listen, all we learn from that is that sometimes, you know, there's a lot that happens and we just need to relax and calm ourselves a little bit. You know, one lesson I certainly learned from that is, one, don't sing when the cameras are on, though I must say, my voice sounded quite splendid.
Yeah. It's all, you could have been a member of the Eagles. You sound just like that guy.
I thought I should have actually.
Incredible.
The other lesson that I learned is, never ever that hairstyle again, Keaton. I don't know what you would never again.
To be fair, you have actually stayed true to that. You have never gone back to that.
Yeah, certainly. I look like a microphone head. But also, Sean has some.
What you were thinking?
I honestly, I think what it was, Karen, is that it was lockdowns. It was one point that my hair became. So I was like, you know. But Sean certainly has some moves as well. So.
My second days might soon be over, my friend. But anyway, let's not get into that.
But let's not get into that now, because people ask. You know, we this morning we thanked Kemel, we thanked Karen for their contributions, but people always ask us, you know, Keaton, Sean, what has WESN done for you and done to you in the last 2 years? What has WESN done to you and done for you in the last year? Well, we can't answer it with words, so we decided to answer it with this video, courtesy of Leah. This is what WESN does to you after 2 years.
It is time. It is time for all of us here and millions around the world to bear witness to.
Alia!
Actually, hold on. That's not the only thing that WESN does to you after 2 years, because well, we have an editor here called Josh, and Josh works some very long hours, and sometimes that could make you go a little bit crazy. So let's take a look at this video of Josh. This is what WESN has done to him after 2 years.
When I thought she had enough and she can't take the grind, she ball. Forget the small change, give me big money wine. Dollar, 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 dollar,
So, that being said, happy birthday to WESN. We'll continue with the celebrations after the 9 o'clock news on the hour. We'll be right back after this.
Here's your WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Business Association optimistic following Minister of Finance signals. Doma says nothing has changed. Opposition MP says government never fulfills budget promises. And Tutor President stages one-woman protest. Now for the details. The president of the San Juan Business Association, Jason Roach, expresses his hope that the signals given by government will lead to economic stimulation. Responding to the Minister of Finance's presentation, he was particularly pleased with the closing of the budget deficit and remained optimistic of potential economic growth.
We were very pleased to see that the government has closed the gap on the deficit that they've been running, right? I believe that is down to, well, it has been cut by 7.66 billion. Right, that is very welcoming. We are very pleased to hear the payments that are allocated for the Ministry of Health for those healthcare workers during the COVID program, as well as signals to boost the construction. I believe that these signals could lend to stimulating the economy.
Nothing has changed. This was the sentiment expressed by President of the Downtown Owners and Merchants Association, Gregory Bood, on the fiscal package. Speaking on WESN's budget panel, Mr. Bood said much of the package is repetitive and he does not believe much will be done to see these commitments made by the government come to fruition.
We are in for much more of the same. There isn't going to be any change in the current conditions that we are experiencing or in the overall quality of life of the citizens. Perhaps there is going to be more pressure on the cost of living or more pressure on the price structure in the country. And there's no transformation taking place. I mean, I am not complaining about this particular minister or any minister in particular. They all do the same thing.
Meanwhile, opposition MP Anita Haynes says there are many smoke screens within the recently read fiscal package. She believes nothing new was stated apart from the increase in fuel costs.
We come here year after year, we discuss the budget, we discuss these ideas, but let's face the reality. The fact is, we are getting a lot of recycled promises. We need to hold, correct, and we need to hold the government to a standard of implementation, not a standard of promises. This question of allocation versus releases is something that I've faced over time as a member of parliament.
Well, Tutor President Antonia Taker de Freitas staged a one-woman protest on Tuesday to voice her displeasure with the recent injunction filed against the organization by the Ministry of Education. She says teachers continue to suffer and she will continue to do whatever it takes to remedy this situation.
We have recognized that there's not a willingness by the state to negotiate in good faith. I am here this morning to represent my members, to put their plight in the public domain and hopefully for persons to understand what we are going through at this point in time, living on 2014 salaries in 2022. Long live Tutor. As president, I am starting this charge. I am standing here for however long it takes, doing it however many times I need to do it, to get the state and to get the public to understand our teachers deserve better.
Well, that was News to the Hour on WESN. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for watching.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. a father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
So, Simone, in these times, things are very difficult. Life has changed dramatically.
Many people have experienced mental health issues for the first time. So people who have just managed to keep anxiety at bay are experiencing a lot of anxiety now.
I am talking with another one of the major pillars of the women's senior national team. Her name is Ria Belgrave. She's actually center defense. Ria is now part again of the CONCACAF preparation for the World Cup 2023. What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Welcome back to Talking Point. I was confused for a second, man. What was the last time?
Yeah. I have no idea what it looks like. But I'm wearing it. The Truancy cap. Happy birthday. I couldn't see what it looked like.
I find Keaton make sure he's looking better than
Listen,
you know.
Karen, stop blaming the hat. I make this hat look good. Oh, come on. Where's your chair?
There we go. Woohoo! Second anniversary. Let's go.
I'm going to keep mine on. Just before we open the phone line, some of our hosts here at WSN sent us some greetings to share with you, our viewers. So let's take a... Oh, by the way, I'm hitting Stevie Wonder in the background.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's WESN's birthday.
Anyway, let's take a look at this from Andre Errol Batiste, who sends out anniversary greetings, well, anniversary, birthday, however you want to call it, to WESN.
It's 2 years now. 2 years has really flown. Time really flies when you're having a lot of fun. 2 years anniversary of WESN. And as you see, I'm still trying to stay fit. Why? Well, I've got men like Sean Small who love the NFL. I've got Keaton Shaw. He wants to be a cricketer. What about Rodney Ganny? Well, Rodney Ganny loves Manchester United and loves football. Then we've got Neil. He is involved in walking. Maybe he wants to get into a marathon. Don't forget Darren Leeson. He likes bodybuilding now for some reason. And then we've got Joash and Sule. And these two men seem to like the same sport. It's a sport that's not possible to be mentioned on air. All I can tell him, it involves a lot of red. And I can tell him from my experience, be careful with red. And as we say, and we always say, there's Ryan. Well, Ryan is a man who gets like wrestling. He wrestles a lot, talks a lot. What about Miles? Well, he's the lover man, that they call him. That's what he is. He's a DJ, and he's providing all the action. Nicholas is young. We don't know much about him. He's improving with time. And then we've got that great work by Alia. Really doing great work, bringing all the action to you. Making Face of Sports so entertaining. Before, during, and after the show. As for Louis Leeson, he's still trying to play football. And as for Andy, I don't know which sport he likes. I know he likes to talk. But WESN, congratulations. 2 years and a lot more. Still going strong. Everybody's watching. And I'm still exercising strong. I'm ready for all of them and more. Happy anniversary, WESN.
We have some really talented and creative individuals here, boy. Hey, thank you very much, Andre Errol Batiste. I hope he's finished exercising, boy.
Nah, I mean, in his position, he can't afford to let loose.
In our position, we can't, but we did.
We don't do a sports show. We don't do a sports show, so, you know.
Anyway, we also have, you see how you, no, stop, you know.
It's fine. Put on
the hat, you know.
It's fine.
Okay, all right, okay.
You know, the cup is the newest addition to Talking Points, so it should be able to celebrate too. My cup.
Anyway. Let's resident psychologist, because God knows we need one here at WSN.
That is true.
That
is true.
Sule A. Joseph. Nobody know what the A stands for, by the way. Do you know what the A stands for?
No, I don't know.
Nobody. We can only take a guess, and we probably can't say it on air anyway. But Sule A. Joseph sends greetings to WESN. Let's take a look at this clip.
This is Sule A. Joseph, host of Psyched on WESN, and this is me doing a video shouting out a happy birthday to WESN. WESN turns 2. 1-2. One of my favorite things about WESN is the fact that it has a real family vibe. It's a family vibe type environment, and if you don't believe me, if you think that Sean and Keaton have a brotherly kind of chemistry on set for their program, you should really see behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, I have been advocating for behind the scenes for the longest while. You should really see what behind the scenes interactions are like on the set of WESN. Quick shout out, of course, to some of my favorite people inside there, Denise and Mini Denise. Of course, I'm talking about Marquise. All right, you guys, you all make it happen. And Josh, I must shout you out as well. Persons in the back room, everybody who continue to make WESN a great space to stay, except people who keep doing nuts in the microwave. Stop it. The office too small for that. All right. Almost had fight about that. But it's a real environment, a real family type environment, complete with quarrels, complete with fallouts, complete with makeups, complete with hanging out and just chilling like a family. It's a real awesome place to work and to just chill. Thank you, WESN. Happy birthday.
Whoever is making those bloody nuts in the microwave, whoever keeps making those nuts in the microwave.
It's not the nuts in the microwave, it's the nuts with pepper flakes in the microwave.
Folks,
we're not going to say the name. Let's not name names now. Let's not say anybody else.
Whoever keeps making them bloody nuts in that microwave.
I would just say, folks, if you don't understand what it is, you put nuts and pepper flakes on a plate without any covering in the microwave.
You go and microwave pepper to begin with.
Exactly. You know? Dried pepper, not just pepper.
But anyway, listen, thank you very much. By the way, I agree with him. We need a background scenes, the show.
Okay, so the problem is, as Andre alluded to, with certain people's favorite sports, right? Some of the behind-the-scenes things might not be appropriate to air, folks, as much as I would like to see it myself.
No.
We would have to edit it down heavily.
That is why there's that beeper button, the one that goes beep, every time.
Well, half of that show would be just beeps.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Beep, beep. Anyway, folks, let's open up the phone lines now. I mean, yes, we've had a very, very heavy conversation this morning, very important conversation as it surrounds the budget 2022-2023, but we're also in a celebratory mood. Why? Because as I said, today is a good day to have a good day. Karen also said it, so why not? We're celebrating WSN's birthday. Call in and join us on Talking Point right now. And by the way, the show would not be possible without all our viewers, without all our contributors and all our callers. And I'd also like to extend on behalf of the traffic and sales department here at WSN, thank you to all the companies, the advertisers, the agencies who have supported WSN since the beginning and continues to support WESN. You guys really, really are there with us, and we thank you, and we look forward to continued relationships and building more relationships. But we have a caller on the line with us from Diego Martin. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Mrs. Carolyn, Eunice Teixeira, and you fine gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling to wish you all a very happy on the second anniversary.
Thank you.
On the station, a station that has been doing great work. I always look at it most of the time. During time I wouldn't look at it when I'm not around. But the fact is that I am so impressed with you, especially you two gentlemen. I always say that you are good upcoming, and I can see the good upbringing in both of you all. And the whole staff and everybody who makes that show possible, I thank you all for having a show like this. According to the story just now, it's very family oriented, and I like that about it. I saw you guys singing this morning here. You have good voices, both of you all. As well.
Yes, both of us, yes.
You remember my young days when I used to sing with the La Petite Musical or the Walk.
What?
And I also I also saw Sean Christmas with Love. I think it's Love Movement.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know he used to sing it because my brother used used to lead the choir in St. Finbar's and also in Assumption. So.
Wow. Well, caller, listen. I just want to thank you for your greetings and your wishes, and I hope that we get to hear your voice very soon on the station.
Yes,
my voice is not all that good now.
Listen, sir, WD-40 works for everything. We'll try it out.
Yes,
sometime.
Keaton knows. Keaton knows. From the old days of karaoke, Keaton knows.
Thank you, sir.
I say I enjoy you all. I hope that you continue for many more years to come and beyond my time on this earth. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, for taking my call and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
We have a caller on the line with us from Shagonas. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Professor.
I see you talk about the government being in too many things that the private sector should be doing. But you didn't give any examples. Now, one of the things I think government should not be in is building houses with NHA. I pointed out to you that every house NHA produce, it costs the taxpayers $1 million. That's a loss of $1 million. Right? What I find government is not in enough things. Look at all these contracts they give out to build roads and drains and what. That have deteriorated enormously from the days when government used to build it. Right? And what government should be doing is a lot of these things which are really the responsibility of government. You have private people developing land. They're supposed to put in the infrastructure. When they don't put it in, a government agency go and do it. And the ones who do it, because under the Highways Act, the government could take over, is required to take over private roads when they are brought up to a standard. Do you know up to now, Valsine and Lanch Park roads are not taken over? Although they were offered, anybody could say those roads are not up to standard. Any questions, gentlemen, before my 2 minutes run out?
You have any questions?
No. I would just like to thank the professor, as with our previous caller, for being regular callers. Thanks for your contributions, and especially, Professor, with your insights and experience. And I mean, I guess the last point that you made with those two roads,
you
not
agree with and forget by the next one.
No, you see, Professor, if we don't forget it, but put it this way. If we are repetitive to that extent, then this show will only last a week. You know? So sometimes we have to keep the conversation going.
Relevant,
sorry?
rather than to join the government and spin, you will improve. I mean, look at what you say your achievement was. If you was doing what I said, don't you think you are much better than that?
Oh my God. Professor! Professor, you're great. Thanks a lot.
I will agree with you, Professor. At the very least, if so many things that he said was actually done, I mean, just by default, it would be better than what we have now. Some basic, happy birthday, some basic things that the professor has been calling, that the professor has been calling out for. If we had those basic things, things should be better.
Did I just hear correctly?
Caller from New York.
We have a caller in line with us from New York.
New York City.
Good morning, my darling.
Oh, I know this voice. Oh, yes,
I know this voice. The lady from New York with good news.
Yes, lady from Santa Cruz. It's still in New York. We're calling to say happy anniversary to you guys.
Thank you.
And to God's continued grace upon you. Miss Karen, welcome. Camille, welcome. Happy anniversary, happy birthday, WESN.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The lady with the good news, who has not been able to call it as much because, you know, it's long distance. But for the second anniversary, we appreciate the long distance call. Thank you so much for being a constant viewer, supporter, and when possible, a caller.
But also, Ms. Santa Cruz, yes, we appreciate you calling in, but I had to point out the obvious. That long distance call, we appreciate it, but I know your service provider is clearly not TSTT. If that is the case.
Yes.
No, Ms. Santa Cruz, your service provider is certainly not TSTT.
Well, she's in New York. I'm sure she would have.
It's not that I would like to dampen the celebrations, but I really need some time to speak about TSTT, boy.
Well, you like to speak about TSTT, I like to speak about WASA. WASA got some bad news, but we won't get into that today. I just need to acknowledge that Camille, he had to go. He stayed a little bit longer than he intended to, plan to, and he had to leave now.
That's okay, Camille. We forgive you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the 2nd anniversary.
Caller on the line with us from Digger Martin. Good morning, caller.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
To WESN and to all of you. Sean Michael Small, where's your hat?
It's right here.
Exactly.
So put it back on, oh, for God's sake, man.
Put it back on.
You can't be doing that.
Come on.
Yeah, put it back on. We want to see you. Yeah, you can't come on national TV for your birthday without your hat.
Actually, you look better that way. If you just put it here, that needs to do.
Just to remind him. Okay, now, serious business, but happy birthday, everyone. You know this is the best morning show in town, right? You know that. Okay. So, I just want to show how out of timing this government is, because I'm going all the way back to when we had 8 UN MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals from 2000 to 2015, which meant cutting hunger in half, education, better health, normal stuff, sustainability. But then it was replaced by the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 of them. And since 2017, Penny Beckers made that commitment. And they formulated their Vision 2030, the National Development Strategy. To come and lie to us and say that they're doing all of this. But you see, if they'd even paid attention to Patrick Manning's 2020 vision. Now, I didn't always agree with Patrick Manning, but there were some great things that he did, and they should have paid attention to the development needs of the country, because they would have been realized by now. Because, Keaton, it's the same thing you said. The jobs, I'm a recurring decimal on this. They spent billions to educate kids in specific areas that were needed for a progressive society. And there were no jobs upon their return. They could not fulfill their commitment as responsible young people. So when India stands up there and talks about education and adhering to the SDGs, they are continually showing their myopic vision. As per usual, and thanks to WSN for the post-budget talks. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My only concern, there was Anita Haynes next to Paula Gopi-Schoon. I was kind of checking out their body language and thing, and, wondering what was going to happen next. So, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is not practical. Okay,
You have to put it on your head. You have a caller on the line with us from St. James. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you guys, the whole crew. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, two things disturbing me. One is that the road maintenance gangs and they're patching up trying to patch the road in this rainy season, and it's not holding up.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing this. The second thing is that yesterday I driving through Woodbrook, and the police behind me blaring the siren. I driving on the left-hand side. This blaring sight coming behind me. When I stopped, they want to charge me for drunken driving.
What?
Why? Because I'm not swerving and trying to brake to the pothole and them. So I have to be drunk, not trying to swerve or driving straight. That's what they want to charge me for. That was a joke,
But even though it was a joke, caller, you're not wrong in saying that you have to you can't drive straight in Trinidad. No, you have to keep swerving.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So your joke is very much relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Happy birthday again.
Thank you very much, caller.
Yeah, they have some potholes where you just cannot go into it. It don't matter how slow you are. It is detrimental to your car.
It is detrimental to
the life of your tire, your car, your life.
And your backside.
Your backside, your neck.
Your backside goes, when you go down in a pothole and you come back up, all of a sudden, you was just like, oh God, that was horrible. That happens sometimes. It's some very big pot.
Well, a lot of us went to Moruga, so I could tell you.
I
understand when people protest for bad roads in places like Moruga.
Sean, they use your car to go Moruga?
No.
Oh, good, thank God. Sean does have to dig a hole every time he has to step into his car. And we have a caller on the line with us from where? Claxon. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to the whole panel there, and best wishes to you all.
Thank you.
I hope that you all, as young people, including Ms. Teixeira, will be there for a long time, because you all is doing good service and could educate this population.
Thank you, caller. We appreciate it.
As media personnel, all you need to be bringing more accurate news to the population, because we have a real Down syndrome population out here. So when you bring the accurate news as media personnel, it will be able to, or you could counteract it now when people make the suggestions and say, well, okay, that is your opinion, but these are the facts. You understand?
I hear you,
so
caller.
People wouldn't just go away just so with their own idea. At least only when have the facts to bring to the population.
Thank you.
Another thing is that we could all learn from each other. And if a lot of people who is in isolation could come out of that isolation, like Keaton, if we could get these people to come out and socialize, we will learn, which will be a big difference in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
I would like to first echo the sentiment at the start. Karen, you're going nowhere. Many more years here on Talking Point on WESN. The young lady, right? And I just like to point out, yes, that is completely true. I just like to point out one of the things I forgot to mention. It was Karen. Some people might not understand why we call her Karen. When she first came on the show, I tried calling her Mrs. Teixeira, and Karen was like, stop calling me Teixeira, call me Karen. Even my own mother was like, call the lady Karen. She wants to call her Karen. So that is why some people don't understand. Actually, you could ask
Karen. Karen called me yesterday. I said, hello, Mrs. Teixeira. Karen gave me a slight buff. She said, who are you talking to? I want to know what is this Teixeira. Anyway, folks, that's where we have to wrap this up. Karen Teixeira, I don't know how much more we can thank you, or what's the best way to thank you, other than to say we love you, we appreciate you. It was good seeing you on Monday night, and we look forward to many more conversations.
I would just like to give a shout out. We can't remember all of our callers, obviously, but just to the other caller from Claxon Bay, Mr. Fisherman, to the caller from San Fernando, to the caller from Petit Valley, who we've had our back and forth with.
Hey, I'm waiting to hear from you.
And of course, to this, well, we probably have more than one caller from San Fernando. Mr. Woodbrook.
Hold on. Mr. Woodbrook, Mr. Port of Spain, Mr. East Port of Spain, Mr. St. Anne's, Mr. Westmoreland, Blanchishes, Mr. Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
You know who you are.
And of course, all of our Tobago callers as well. We just like to acknowledge, and I'm sorry if I forgot anybody, but Mr. Diego Martin, well, the other Mr. Diego Martin, as well as Mr. Petit Valley.
Anyway, that's it. We're out of time. But Sean Michael Small, thank you very much. Congratulations. All the best to you. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Teixeira, thank you very much. I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been Talking Point. You know we had Singing Point. This is Rapping Point. Today is a good day.
To have a good day.
And a happy birthday. We'll see you tomorrow morning, folks. Bye-bye.
Happy birthday to the station. And it was a pleasure, as always, to be with you.
Always a pleasure, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Just trying to leave now. Oh,